Sadly, when they do threaten, once again, the truth is made a victim by those who fear any truth but their own. As Aquinas says, beware the person of one book. Such critics have long since abandoned the past Catholic understanding of the high regard for the greater good that Catholics in public office often affect. This is a new siege on strategy, strangely un-Catholic, un-Roman, determined to use brute force to achieve its goals. Absolutists would trade the leverage that Catholics have always enjoyed politically in our nation, especially in big cities, for the self-satisfactions that the hierarchy must always be blindly obeyed and the faithful must always march in lockstep, trampling through whatever gray areas that might exist. Absolutists live in a world of black and white, of easy extremes and passionate deference to the most rigid of hierarchs. Discipleship for them is not about negotiating the complexity of life in faith and hope, and most of all charity, but about being obedient at all costs. If the highest aim of a captain were to preserve his ship, he would keep it in port forever, says Aquinas. I believe that this is a powerfully degenerating element in the life of the church now. Look at the row over honoring the President of the United States at the University of Notre Dame this spring. What litmus test must we have now to receive an honorary degree? What can other Catholic universities, like my own alma mater, DePaul University, expect in the future? Catholic leadership seems bent on making itself look ridiculous, further marginalizing its value. As more and more Catholics walk away from active participation in the life of the church, or take a pass because of what they see as a lack of adherence to the truth, the absolutists gain more and more ground, especially among the leadership that is only too happy to cater to the will of those who delight in flattering obedience. Have we not learned that life is more complicated than we used to know it? Sister Henrietta always knew that. When the central constructs of discipleship are solely focused on blind obedience, leadership always has a way out. When this happens, I believe the real mission of the church suffers. What about the hungry and the dispossessed? What about those who are parched for justice and human rights? What about those who are homeless and abandoned? What about the strangers and the wounded? What about the mission of peace? When was the last time anyone challenged a public square Catholic on these vital mandates of the gospel? All our attention seems to be focused strictly below the belt. The agenda of those who criticize public Catholics most frequently revolves around the issues that stand further back from the larger social mission of the church. The absolutists are fixated, frankly, on the abortion and gay marriage, and they appear willing to lose those who see the issues as being more complex. They are also driving away those who see a value to the larger picture. And the diversity of human life seems to bring out of them fresh forms of intolerance. There are times when it seems, as Martin Luther King Jr. said, human salvation lies in the hands of the creatively maladjusted. Where then does discipleship lead? To faith and hope, of course, And ultimately, it leads to love, to justice, to concrete expression of the life of the gospel. Justice is the practical exponent of love. It is the road that carries us home to God. Charity begins at home, Charles Dickens used to say, and justice begins next door. It remains for Aquinas to help us shape the question, how can we live in harmony? First, we need to know we are all madly in love with the same God, he assures us. We will find harmony too if we find the ways that brings life to us. Don't hang on to them. Share them with others. Then faith will burst from your hearts in love. It will empower you and open life for you, beyond your job, beyond your careers, beyond the small angers that shatter your happiness in relationships, and beyond the sins and the faults of the past that you just never seem to get away from. Faith will lead to a fuller life just as you start bringing it to others. Reinhold Niebuhr, a bright theologian, but even a better poet, wrote, "Nothing worth doing is ever completed in our lifetime. Therefore, we are saved by hope. Nothing true or beautiful or good makes complete sense in any immediate context in history. Therefore, we are saved by faith. Nothing we do, however virtuous, can be accomplished alone. Therefore, we are saved by love. No virtuous act is quite as virtuous as from the standpoint of our friend or foe as from our own. Therefore, we are saved by the final form of love, which is forgiveness." More than 150 years ago, in the tragic aftermath of the American Civil War, Father Isaac Hecker, the founder of the Paulist Fathers, set out to transform the spirit of American Catholicism in a moment of national brokenness. The mission he set out to accomplish sought to heal and reconcile America. You may know that he was a convert to Catholicism. Faith for him was a long journey with many twists and turns along the road. Not just a text with all the right answers. The impact he struggled to make was among the best and the brightest of his generation of Americans. It was something that he had already experienced in his own life. He was a gift to lay Catholics of America, especially thinking Catholics. "The Catholic Church is my star," Father Hecker wrote, "which will lead me to my life, my destiny, my purpose. What more could any of us ask?" I did not apply for the position of being a private Catholic in the public square, but I am convinced now, more than ever, that it is not such a bad place as long as I can come to it galvanized with the essential armor of Catholic life: truthfulness and the hunger for discipleship. With these, none of us will come to any harm. We will always see our star. Thank you for listening.
Justice Burke, we'll take a couple of questions. We have a little while before we can go and get some dinner, so if you remember the rule, just for the sake of some order, if you'd come over to this side from that side of the room to use the microphone so you don't trip over Judy's equipment. And remember, we've asked you not